Welcome to Sam Outside. I'm Sam and I'm outside, sharing a little bit about what you can do to add to your walking routine. For those of you who see me before, I advocate nature. I advocate walking in nature. It's what I do. Not full time, but I definitely am outside twice a day, every day, mostly because of that guy. All right. So I'm a dog owner and we try and walk Mr. Indiana Bones twice a day. I don't have a lot of time in my regular day to exercise. So I'm constantly trying to find ways to include little acts of activity or exercise to the things I'm already doing out of necessity, whether that's at work, whether I'm walking the dog, right? Or even just making conscious efforts to think about not only the activity, but the rest and nutrition that goes along with adding to my gains. And I use the word gains loosely. So walking, first and foremost, is an amazing form of exercise, low impact. It's working your posture. There are slight muscle advantages for either maintenance, depending on what you do, and of course, your cardiovascular fitness. So now that I'm in my 50s, all of these things weigh on me, right? So I'm walking twice a day anyway. What can I do to add to those gains? So let's talk about when, where, more importantly, how you walk. When I walk, again, I walk twice a day, but I try and do it first thing in the morning within an hour of waking, empty stomach, when my cortisol levels are naturally at their highest. I'm getting a little bit of exercise. My morning walks are not as long as my afternoon walks, just due to timing and the routine and habits for the rest of my day. Now I can make choices about that. I can get up a little earlier, which is so hard to do in the winter because it's dark until like 7:38. There's no time in my daily routine. But now that the sun is up significantly earlier, yeah, I'm making an effort to get out and add to my morning walks. So that's when, hey, if you can do it after a meal, 5, 10, 15 minutes, that will definitely help with your insulin resistance as your body's going through a little bit of exercise, your digestion, your mobility, all those things, your activity after eating, after consuming, a moderate to a large meal, definitely helping the digestion process and keep your metabolism at work. So that's the when. Now where, again, if you've seen my videos before, you know that if you can do any activity outdoors, it's going to add starting with 20% gains to those activities. All right. A lot of that is just due to the emotional and mental aspects of being outside in general. Now you add activity to that and your whole body uses its energy reserves and its mental efforts, the emotional state completely changes the gains. All right. So just whatever you're going to do, right? Whether it's gardening or walking, right? Just spending time outside. It's so good for us physically, mentally, and emotionally. So I'm going to advocate when, as often as you can, start with 20 minutes, go from there at a minimum, a couple times a week. That's part of your nature prescription. And where? Well, do it outside. Now, how? Here you go. So in the winter, I didn't have the capacity just to maintain my walking routine with a weighted vest. Right, I was already slugging through a snow, and sometimes it was up to my waist. So that in and of itself is exercise. But now that the snow season is gone, this is my first day back with the weighted vest. And yeah, I'm feeling it. It's 40 pounds. All right, and I've had to work up to that. If you've never done any rucking, all right, or weighted walking. So weighted walking with a vest, and it distributes the weight front and back. Whereas, rucking, traditionally known for putting weight in a backpack, right, definitely changes your posture a little bit, can add some strain, right? Walking is meant to improve your posture. So for me, starting with a weighted vest, just keep it light, keep it simple, especially if you're in the habit or looking forward to going backpacking or camping. Man, if you don't load that pack right, which is its own skill and maybe its own video, but you're going to feel it. So if it's going to be in your future, start adding some weight. Get that backpack on, the backpack you're going to be using. Add, a couple water bottles, a couple of things are going to add a little bit of weight, 5, 10 pounds, right? And then work your way up to 20. If you're going to, work within 10, 15% of your body weight. But if you can work your way up slowly, by the way, if you can add to your weight that you're carrying, right, and get up to 20% or more, that's where you're really going to start to notice the gains. And again, it's more than just muscle, right? You are going to feel it. Your cardiovascular is going to strain. You want to get it in what they call that second zone, all right? So you want to be able to keep moving with your pace, but you don't want to not be able to talk. So you can see that I'm able to keep a conversation going, even though I'm wearing the weighted vest. All right. So that's a little bit of how walk with some weight. The next part is, hey, if your path is conducive, start walking backwards. All right. So again, if you can take 100 to 200 steps consecutively, walking backwards, totally different muscle groups, right? And your body is going to rely a little bit more on those things you would not normally use while walking forward. But what it's also doing mentally is because you've lost the brain's ability to do the math and the perception, and you're walking backwards. Yeah, you're going to be glancing side to side, but there's a focus that definitely adds to that, and that will help with the rest of your emotional state and your cognitive ability for the rest of the day. So walking backwards, not only for the variation in your muscle routine, engaging different muscle groups, strength training. So walking backwards, you can do so safely, 100 to 200 steps. Now, using terrain, as you can see it right now. So I don't like to slow down. I actually like to charge the hills and take them slowly on the downhill. So your choice of terrain will definitely add to it. Different muscle groups, right? You're going to engage the calves, the glutes, even your upper body a little bit more when you start to use terrain to your advantage in your walking routine. So get off the sidewalk. If you're in a park, great. Hopefully it's a ecological diverse park, that added nature benefit, but get some terrain in there. Now, interval walking, right? This is where you're going to spend a moment. In that moment, used intentionally, that wording could be 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. So walk more slowly, your regular walking pace, or even slower. And then, for a moment, and then match that time with added intensity. So pick up the pace, move a little more quickly, right? Make sure you can do it safely and maintain it, right? So try and match that and then go back. That's the word interval. So 3 minutes of slow, 3 minutes of more fast, back to 3 more slow. Now that's going to add to your heart rhythm variability. You engage your cardiovascular system a little more. Don't forget to swing the arms. Super important. Get them out of your pocket. Adding poles, walking poles, trekking poles, right? You're going to be engaging your triceps and your shoulders and your lats a little more, right? It also helps, depending on the terrain, it's going to help with a little bit of stability, adding to your safety by using those poles. And of course, when you're talking about adding how you walk, let's go with your choice of footwear. So again, in the winter, definitely wearing a much heavier boot. And for those of you who've been keeping in touch, thank you for that. It was flooding season, so a lot of rubber boots, even here in the forest. But now that the forest is more dry and that subsides, I'm wearing what's known as a barefoot shoe. So I'm not walking barefoot, but this is a barefoot style hiker, and I do own barefoot style shoes. This is the time of year they're going to start to do them. I can't wear them all day, every day at work, depending on what I'm doing as work. Sometimes it's steel-toed footwear. Sometimes it's something that needs to have a little more ankle support. And again, if it is work attire, that boot's got to be 8 inches, right? I can't get away with the low stuff, or a safety shoe. I've got to wear a boot. So that adds a little bit of weight. But the advantage of wearing a barefoot shoe is that it actually thin sole, so protection first and foremost, but the design of the footbed, more specifically around the front of the foot and the toes. My toes are so free, even though the shoe is the same size, that I can actually feel my toes gripping. It's actually strengthening my foot, which is the foundation for everything else that's going on. A stronger foot leading to stronger ankles, stronger knees. So it just changes the skeletal reinforcement, or that skeletal foundation as I'm walking, stronger foot muscles. And again, I just lost 6 months of that because of the terrain, the conditions, temperature, all that. Hiking through snow just was not an option for me, especially when it's minus 20, even though they do make winter boots. It's not the same in my environment. So I'm looking forward to starting to wear the vest for the weight, starting to look forward to wearing the barefoot shoe. But there's also walking barefoot, which is very different. Walking barefoot means I'm actually not wearing anything on my feet. It's also known as grounding. So by having as much bare skin on natural terrain puts my body's bioelectrical signals in touch with the Earth's own geomagnetic energy. So that is something we've been disconnected. We've literally been insulated against it. And it's changed internal processes, healing, rhythms, all of it, brain function, heart, that messaging that goes through all of our internal organs, it's bioelectrical. And when we're insulated, which we have been since the invention of, well, rubber soles, we've had this disconnect. So part of my need in advocating to reconnect with nature means literally reconnecting with not just the plant and animal insect life that's in my environment. I also want to connect with the planet. And you can do that by walking barefoot. You don't have to do it for very long. There are many studies, please go down that rabbit hole, on how lying patient on ground, on earth, is helping them heal. Now, there are grounding pads, grounding mats that you can sleep on and stand on. That is similar, has the same effects as earthing, but it's known as grounding because you're taking a pad that has the useless little round slot, in the three-pronged outlet that plugs in. So you ground yourself to your structure, whether it's a home or office, whatever building you're in, it grounds it to the earth. All right. So you're standing on that pad or sleeping on that pad for its healing benefits. So you can resync. Now, please walk outside, walk as often as you can, try 20 minutes, do it in and around your meals, in and around your sleep, in and around your wake cycle, and try weighted, try interval, try walking backwards, just move. All right, it's going to add to your longevity. And if you don't have time to work out, which I don't sometimes, my day's too full, find things you can do to add strength and mobility, right? So maybe you walk to a different copier down the office. Maybe you avoid the desk. And I've been using a stand-up desk for almost a decade now. And I'll put a little block of wood so that I can raise my toes, and switch it up, and then later put it on my heels so I can engage my calves. All right. Or I'll stand on one foot. I'll put little pieces of tape. So I have to change my stance. I'll put my mouse further away. I won't have things at my desk. I have to go get them. So that includes a couple more steps in my day. All right. That 10,000, that number, not a factor. That was actually a marketing ploy. All right. So depending on your age, your physical condition, there are some metrics to help you figure out how many steps you should be getting, and that should be a target, and then add to that just to add to your longevity. So walking, so good for us, but you can add to that need to walk, whether you're at home, whether you're at work. So just some variations that I have found very effective, and I'm seeing the results in my overall health, but it comes down to not only maintaining, but adding to my muscle mass, which is adding to my longevity, but it also adds to my metabolism, my digestion, and more importantly, my sleep. Right? So don't overdo it. It's that time of year. More people are getting outside, but let's add a little bit to it. Right? Make some intentional choices. And of course, breathe. So important. All right. Please go outside. Please walk more. I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for watching.